Hello, my brothers. Good to see you both.
Adam, good to see
Adam,
you,
how you going,
mate.
man?
Always good to be connected. Yeah, so I guess we would like to talk about some interesting things that have been happening over the last 10, 20 years. And it's been a long time that things have been in the making. And I guess we're at a point of a crossroad right now where a majority of the world state is in a deep sense of fear. And I think we can all fear that. I think we can all feel that. And I think that yeah, there's a lot of things to talk about in relation to that. And yeah, so how are you both doing?
It's been rough, man. It's been rough the last week for me, but I'm still alive, mate, so I can't complain.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's definitely been very interesting coming from someone who is still working and just hearing all the stories and all the fake news that's been spread at the moment. It's just, yeah, it's definitely interesting to say the least. So
yeah,
um, we've got a couple of things that would like to talk about. Maybe we can try and get through them all if we can. And yeah, we'll see how it goes.
awesome. So let's hit it. I guess the first thing that we want to talk about is the fear state and where it's come from. So what is the opinion of both of you on that topic?
Well, it's easy to manipulate people that are in a state of fear. So that's the media's job, keep everyone down here in that level of fear, and they're willing to do whatever the man on the TV tells them to do. So,
Mm. They
Yeah,
they don't really have the ability to critically think for themselves. So, they need that person sitting there looking perfect with that perfect tone in their voice to literally control their mind. Like that's what the media is designed to do. It was designed from the moment they created the television, television. Um, and they're doing it really, really
yeah,
well. And it kind of sucks to see how susceptible people are still. It upsets me, man. It makes me sad. It's like, look how easily we buy this. It just kind of pisses me off. But
a guy,
yeah.
sorry, did you have something to say on that, or?
Oh, I was just gonna say that, yeah, like when I was a little kid growing up, when I was in my youth growing up, coming to my days of today, grown up, still growing, I used to always turn on the media, and it wouldn't necessarily be me turning it on, but just whenever I'd walk past somewhere and I'd for a short time tap into that knowledge that's coming out of the box, I would never feel good. And you'd never hear things about people paying off their home loan or people successful in business or how someone really has the best advice for how we should appeal our taxes to our own benefits. And yeah, just I always noticed a feeling go from here to there. I was
mm,
having a great day, and whenever that vice came into my personal influence, I would just feel so low, and nothing's changed. And especially in what's happening in the world, I turn any media set on, and it's just, it really does set us in our ways if you allow it to.
yeah,
Yeah,
so true, man. Yeah.
Well, yeah, a guy brought up an interesting point today, and he said that even once all this settles down, the psychological impact will be in place for a long time, years, maybe forever, that people will be afraid of other people. I mean, the government doctor on the TV himself said we need to stop the way we interact with humans as of now. And to me, that's a really scary thought that I can't, shake a fellow brother's hand, or you can't hug somebody you love and that you haven't seen in a long time. Like, what kind of society are we creating here by dictating rules like that?
Mm.
yeah, I feel that definitely. And I think that if I'm to ask myself how I feel about my modus operandi in society, I want to be able to be free to make the right choices for how long it's been since I've seen someone. Like next time I see you guys, I know that I'll give you a pretty strong hug. And I guess anyone hearing this part of the conversation now might be thinking, what are they actually talking about? But maybe they're missing out on the dialect of what's actually being pushed out of the mainstream right now. Hey, like maybe they're really not capturing what it is that is really going on under the carpet.
And what do you believe that is?
Well, there's multiple layers, you know, there's definitely multiple layers. But one thing I feel is something that you just said, Johnny, that there's psychological impact that is in place after an event. And one thing I do know through researching like CIA and KGB documents is the length of time that it takes to break free from programming. So apparently, even in relationships, like I've heard that, you know, if you've been with someone for a year and you come free of that relationship, it takes you sometimes double the time to overcome that feeling of emotion that was involved, whether it be traumatic, whether it be any form of emotion. Apparently it takes a long time. But yeah, I find it interesting that big agencies that are well known for documenting how the mind operates at certain periods of time, it's stated that 3 months of programming can sometimes take up to 3 years to break a curse on. So yeah, that's one thing we really need to be mindful of, and really think about how we feel when we walk around the streets. Like who is it that set up this situation, and what is the situation really, and where are they leading us within that term of the situation?
Yeah, it's definitely doesn't seem like it's a very positive thing. Like, you know, every time you turn on the media, it's always the same narrative. It's always something negative. You know, it's always trying to pump fear into people and make people scared or make people worried. And then, you know, you walk outside and there's birds chirping, it's a blue sky, the sun's shining, and
Yeah, it's people still out and about.
Yeah, everyone's happy, man.
Families on bikes, you know.
Yeah, definitely seen that still.
Yeah, I went into town 2 days ago, and yeah, it's just interesting. Like the cafes are like, all the tables and chairs have been rounded up, and they're in the corner of the cafe, and they've got like the caution tape around them, and there's like 4 tables. There's like fucking 4 tables that have like, you know, 3 meters distance from each other, and everyone's just like, there's not everyone, but there's one person at each table, and they're staring at each other like they don't know what to do, man. Like they can barely sip their tea. They don't know what to do.
What's your thoughts on why they've implemented this social distancing thing? Do you think that's got to do with anything in specific, or?
I think there's so many reasons. There's so many reasons why they do things. There's so many reasons why even we do things, you know, like there's never one reason to a circumstance, especially when it comes from the mainstream directive. So yeah, I can't give an answer for that. That gives a basic explanation, but one thing I would do is open the door to inspire anyone to look for the multiple layers every time something like this happens. Every time. Yeah, as much as I'd love to say, oh, because any particular reason, it's never gonna be that. What do you guys reckon?
Well, I think it's to do with something the way, you know, we vibrate as humans, and by keeping us apart, you're sort of dissolving the collective consciousness in a sense, if that makes sense. Everyone now individual, because we know they've been working for so long to, you know, tear apart the fabric of society, destruction of the family unit, you know, all these other agendas that are going on. So I feel like there's something at play along those lines.
Yeah. I mean, you could, you know, it's a conspiracy theory, I guess you could say, but like, you know, people are saying on the internet that maybe they want to distance us from each other because they're using these new 5G technology or whatever they're trying to implement to target us, and we're much easier to target if we're separated from each other. Like that could be a possibility. I don't know if that's 100% true. You know, some guy might have just said that on the internet, but it's definitely curious when you read something like that. You know, it's kind of.
Well, from a surveillance perspective, it's easier to profile somebody in a sense if they're separated.
I'll tell you something that's a conspiracy, something that's pretty creepy. So as you both know, I couldn't get reception on the property that I was on where I'm living, and so I've come into town to make a call to my family, my brothers, as you know you are. And it's funny, as you were talking about that, the lights all went off in the Woolworths, and there's cars in the car park here. But as that happened, you know, the Woolworths trucks that do all the deliveries in Australia, the single trailer trucks, there was a double trailer with no markings coming down the side to do the delivery. So I don't know what that's about. I've never seen that before, and I'm pretty aware of, you know, who comes and goes to the Woolworths. And yeah, I just find that really interesting. I thought I'd make a mention of that. You know, like what's happening to our food, what's happening to our deliveries. What they say that the shelves are being cleared, but I've seen many proofs that they've had people working in the background, taking things off the shelves and putting them into storage, really propping something up that isn't how it's seen in the mainstream narrative.
Interesting.
So yeah, I just thought I'd make a mention of that, because me and my partner sitting here just looked at each other and we were like, what the fuck's that about? That's, you know, like some pretty interesting activity, and usually I wouldn't make a mention of that, but here we are.
Okay, what's your thoughts on this whole correlation with, 5G? And I'm still looking into this because I'm getting, information from various sources about what's going on. Do you think what are your thoughts on that?
My thoughts are more of a knowing. I left a built-up area because during the time of now, what's been going on, I started feeling a really strong pressure behind my left eye, and that is a direct side effect of magnetic manipulation of the atmosphere. And so I know that there's something going on. Absolutely. I'm hearing, I don't know about you guys, but for the last couple of weeks, I've been hearing at certain times, I'm logging and I'm acknowledging certain times that it's happening. I'm getting a ringing in my ears, and I know what this is coming from. I know absolutely how bandwidth changes the frequency waves in the air. And I know that as a being, I'm receptive to any change in the atmosphere, especially of a high magnitude being, some people want to call it 60 gigahertz. At the moment, they're only working the towers at about 20 to 30 gigahertz. So they're not in full operation yet, the 5G network, but absolutely I do see a correlation in the now of what's going on. One thing I've had a lot of people are talking about installations taking place whilst the lockdown's in place. And I've had many people message me that I know personally. About 7 or 8 people have messaged me photos of installs happening in their street on full lockdown, installs happening in childcare centres on full lockdown. Why? It's an interesting question, because no one's asking why, but a lot of people are asking why. A lot of people are asking what's happening right now, what's actually happening right now.
Why is that a necessity? You know what I mean?
Well, yeah.
It's an essential service. We have a network rolled out at a time where we already have perfect internet. I got perfect internet. I don't need any other further devices. No one called for this.
No one did, man. And no one can put a stop to this either. That's the problem.
Well, I mean, 2 things I can add is, I was just saying before that for about the last 2 weeks, I've been getting random, like, ringing in my ears and frequencies and stuff. And like, I haven't suffered with tinnitus for a long time. And literally just the last 2 weeks, I've been getting ringing at random times. And it's not the usual frequencies that you would usually hear with standard tinnitus. It's like, what is that? Like, I've never heard that sound before. I've never heard that frequency before. I can almost feel it. I can, you know what I mean? It's like something's going on. And like, as human beings, we are essentially like radio receivers. So we would definitely be affected by frequencies being emitted from whatever they're doing out there, so.
Interesting, man. I've definitely
I feel it
in my ears too. Sorry.
I feel it. Sometimes at night I get certain heart palpitations that
I get them.
give me a very strong feeling of discomfort. I was actually, I knew where I was living there was quite a big tower, and it's the biggest one I've ever seen in my life. Actually, I haven't seen one bigger. And the name of the streets that these towers are on, like the one near my house is on Tower Street, or my previous address. And we've got to question who's really running the game. Who's Telstra? What's Telstra? What is this technology? Have you guys seen Toyota, their new city that they're building?
Sorry, yeah. That's funny that you just mentioned that, Adam. The name of the roads that these towers have been built on. One of the busiest roads that I used to travel on a lot to get to work and stuff was North Road. And that has towers all the way down, all along the churches, man. And you see, as you're going down, you just see one there, Gwen Tower, and they're just everywhere.
It's funny how they love to put them on the churches. And
North
sometimes
Road,
they
man, like North
incorporate the cross.
Use the Gwen Tower as the cross. Like, but isn't that strange? Like North Road, man, like, you know, as in the head, you know, where everything comes from, you know, like the North Road.
Magnetic north.
Yeah, well, that too, exactly, man. And look back there, North Road. It's like the head.
These towers wouldn't be just placed randomly. They'd be strategically placed at certain locations.
Well, yeah, if you spoke to someone who works in the industry, they'd be like, well, we put them there because, you know, you got to make sure that it's all connected to the same prep. Like, they'd have some fucking answer for it, you know.
Possibly certain hotspots in the ether that they're tapping into.
Don't you think it's interesting how they call it a mobile hotspot? And it actually does heat the area up. This triangulation network, you just called it Gwen Tower, which is an acronym for Ground Wave Emergency Network. I've always said, where's the emergency? We're calling it 5G now, but where's the emergency? Because these towers were implemented during the biggest protests in history, which were enabling the network to knock thousands of people off their feet to the ground just through scalar wave. You know, like, what do we know? What do we know?
Sorry, you've seen the video from the military where they've got the like the radar and they can fire it into the crowd and target specific people and it heats them up.
Crowd dispersal technology. That's what it is. It's crowd dispersal technology.
Yeah, and I mean they had this years ago, so you can only imagine how much more advanced it is now. And of course, it's not going to show you like that they've got it, but they've got it. They could be using this against protesters.
Who knows if this is a full-on one? I just thought of it now. What if these towers aren't even activated yet? They've just set them up. They're getting them all built, ready to go. And then when they want to, boom, they're going to turn them on. And then that's when, you know, shit's going to hit the fan, I guess you could say.
Yeah. So it's definitely something that a lot of people would say, oh, look, that's up to speculation. But what are we speculating? What are we speculating? What is it that's in speculation? How do you feel about it? Do you feel good? Do you feel harmony? Waking up to seeing that thing outside your bedroom window every day. How do you feel? How do you guys, like, personally, on a personal level, I want to ask you both, how do you feel when you see the network towers? Like, how do you feel when you look at them?
Yeah, really uncomfortable. I drove past probably 50 of them today. Every time I just give them a dirty look and I'm like, if I could just get rid of that fucking thing.
Yeah.
But, like, what are you going to do? You know, the best thing you can do is to just distance yourself as far as you can from them. But obviously it's not a reality for most of us until we can actually leave this, you know, leave the matrix, a sense, and get out into nature, away from, you know, from all this, you know.
It definitely comes down to perception and how observant you are and how informed you are as well. Like, if you don't know anything about these towers, you don't even see them. You know what I mean? I know so many people that I tell about them, they just go like, oh, those things, I never even noticed what they were. Yeah, what are they? It's like, man, you're 29 years old and you don't even know what that means. Like, you don't even know what that's doing. Like, you're 50 years, I'll speak to everyone and they have no, what is that? Like, what is that thing really doing? I'm like, you don't even have an idea, man. Look into it, find out, because you don't know how effective that could be on your health.
But another interesting thing is, like, I never see anybody work on them. Like, I don't know about you guys, but like, I've never seen anybody, a maintenance guy, anyone ever doing any work on them. And then, as you said, during lockdown, conveniently, there's installs and upgrades going on everywhere. You've got the reports. I've seen the reports myself from people sending in photos, videos, whatever. I saw a worker on one of them on the freeway yesterday. And there was wires and cables hanging down off it. So he was clearly doing an install or an upgrade on it. It wasn't just a basic maintenance. So, I mean, that's pretty big coincidence if you ask me. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely. I was just noticing that the lights have just come back on in all of the shopping center here. And yeah, it sends chills down my spine, actually. I don't know what they're doing, but I think it's got something to do with the clearing out of the shopping centers, guys. Like, I really feel that. I think that's what's happening right as I sit in this car park here. Always finding myself in the perfect place at the perfect time, hey?
Like Australia's version of a FEMA camp, basically. Is that what you're saying, or?
Not necessarily, but yeah, it's like quite linked into that. But
Adam,
I've seen.
I'd like to ask if you know anything about Australian FEMA camps and if we do have them set up here.
Federal Emergency Management Agency. We do not have that corporation in Australia. However, we do have a form of governance that has quite strong links to other nations which have a similar agenda with every country in the world. So one thing that I notice is all these, remember the Masters buildings that went up?
Yeah.
And the Bunnings, you wouldn't find many Bunnings that haven't shut down at some point and opened up another Bunnings 2 streets over. These buildings are quite substantial. They're quite reflective of the Walmart systems in America, which have shut down. A lot of them are shut down all along the same line. I do believe that there is a connection between certain buildings, absolutely, and what their purposes will be in the future.
Right.
I
do believe we have them in Australia, detention centres for the future, which are ready to be used when they want them to be used.
Christmas Island. Did you guys hear about what they're doing with people who are flying back from
quarantine at Christmas Island?
Yeah, they've been quarantined on Christmas Island for the time being, man. So
yeah, Merry Christmas.
Yeah, how's that, man?
Actually, I read about a week ago that the Walmarts, they actually hired it was something like somewhere between 100 to 150,000 veterans or ex-veterans, like trained people, combat trained, whatever you want to call it, to work at their sites. So, but of course the stories, they're saying that they're doing it to give them a job opportunity and stuff. But obviously there, could potentially be some agenda behind that. So, yeah,
I'd always be looking out for everything at every time. I'd never, like a lot of people right now while they're at home, they're all, what's everyone doing? Everyone's building their new deck in their backyard. Everyone's, wanting to fix their project cars and make some music and paint some art. But how distracted are we? We need to ask ourselves, this is the perfect time to be looking into things right now. I want to question how many people know about the planned shutdown of the internet. Are they ready for that? What do you guys know about that?
I've seen a few reports come to me about that. And it makes sense because a lot of people are at home, a lot of people are on the internet. There's a lot of internet traffic happening at the moment. And they're going to say basically they need to
overload. We need to upgrade.
Yeah, well, they need to, well, not just that, but I mean, that's one aspect of it, but they need the internet to be a priority for emergency services and defense services and everything. So they're going to restrict public use, if not cease it completely for a period of time. I would estimate at least a week.
And then they'll say we need to do an upgrade, and bam, there's that 5G implementation, man.
I've been watching this one guy's channel. It's called The Crow House, I think. And he basically
Max Saigon, he's amazing. Max Saigon, The Crow House, he's a good presenter.
Really good person to watch. So he's saying that basically if that happens and the internet goes down, he's like, by the time it comes back, it'll be fully monitored. A lot of the truth community will be removed. It'll be censored. He even proposes that potentially some bigger truthers could even be taken out. It's like people may just even disappear. So the people that jump on the internet will just be, the people who are just using it for, social media and music and everything else people use the internet for. So yeah, it's a big potential for that to happen.
I see it. I know it's coming. I don't know if it's going to come this time around, but it definitely aligns with where they are. Just had to please drive past monitoring the streets.
And that's the thing, because we've grown so accustomed to the convenience of the internet and being able to keep in touch with each other and to communicate. So if that was to go down, where would people get the information from? Yeah, the only place they would get it would be the TV, and if that was still broadcasting. So essentially all their truth would just be coming straight from the mind controllers.
Yeah, because they're funneled to that pretty much.
And that's a scary thought, because you won't really know what's going on.
Very scary.
From one thing, that's what they want. They want one world government. They want one currency. They want one everything, man. And that's like he's saying, they want one source of where people can get their information from.
Because right now, I mean, we're already like physically distanced from each other, but we can still communicate with our friends and our family wherever they are in the world.
And they'll want to cut that off too.
If you take that away from us, where that sense of that, united feeling that we have is going to go.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to really feel the isolation when you can't even talk to people that you know to see if they're okay.
Yeah, it's a pretty scary time, man. Let's just hope it doesn't get to this, but that's just hope, I guess, Yeah, it kind of sucks.
So what do you do? What do you do as you stay in your home in isolation? What do you recommend people do?
I'd have an escape plan, to be honest, if you could make one. If you knew there was somewhere that you could go, a safe zone, a community, somewhere you could stay, people you could stay with, and work out a way to get there and just take what you need, the bare essentials to get yourself there.
Yeah, it's a good point.
Or you can bunker down and wait it out, but how well do you trust your neighbours? Can you trust that your neighbours aren't going to come banging on your door to steal your last loaf of bread or, your possessions?
This is seriously like something to talk about. This is seriously something to talk about, because I swear I was just going into Woolworths one day to get some minor supplies, and it was just another day for me. Honestly, it was just another day for me. It's only a couple of weeks ago, and we were walking in there, and this guy pulled up, literally, like I felt like I was in a Hollywood movie. This guy just like pulled up like super frantically, like, and him and his kid jumped out of the car and started bolting and running into Woolworths, and we were like, oh, that guy must be in a rush. And as we were walking in, people were running out the door with toilet paper. People were running out the door with toilet paper, and anyways, as we were walking in the door, we got conversation about the toilet paper nearly running out, and we were like, what the fuck's going on? So we went to the toilet paper aisle, and the whole shelves were stripped bare, and we were like, holy shit, like there must be something in the media about it. Lo and behold, look it up, and there it is. Everyone's tuning in. Don't panic, everyone. We've got toilet paper forever. People start bringing out their primal instincts, don't they? Their fight or flight, and they think, what's the bare essential that we need? The bare essential that we need is, what do we need? We need oil, pasta, toilet paper. If these are the supplies you're going to be stacking your shelves with, you're going to need that toilet paper. You're going to need all of it. Look at what people eat. Look at it. Like, where are we?
It really goes to show how fragile this society is when you really think about it. How everyone just plays their role as being like a happy-go-lucky person, so kind. Oh, no, you go first, man. No worries. But it's like as soon as something like this happens, it's innate in us, it's deep within us, man. Like you said, that monkey in us just comes out, man, and we just start fucking fight or flight. It's just every man for himself, like it really goes to show when a situation like this happens, man.
And, what a privileged item that is, like toilet paper, the thing you use to wipe your ass with. Like, you can't survive without it, man. No, you can't survive without it. Like, Lord and behold, we run out of fucking toilet paper. Shit, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Don't worry if the utilities get cut off and you've got no access to water and you've just eaten your last can of beans, as long as you can wipe your ass. True?
Yeah, man.
True.
But that's the power of the media, man, as well. Like, as soon as they put in the news, toilet paper, everyone's going crazy for toilet paper. Everyone's sitting there watching the news, goes, oh, get in the car, we'll go and buy some toilet paper. Everyone's going to get toilet paper. Then the next thing was pasta. Everyone's going crazy for pasta and beans. And then it was beans, and then it was this, and then it was that. Then all of a sudden, next thing you know, gun shops are shutting down in WA. And then, it's like they're just, the next thing that they pump out is what people go and do, man. It's like that's how tight that grip is that they have on us, man.
Yeah, it's like the media are controlling the supply and the demand themselves by planting that idea in people's heads of what they need to be going out there to buy. Like, what do I need? What do I need right now? Like, fuck, I haven't got.
So don't bullshit me. What was the thing that you guys run out to get?
Oh man, it's crazy, man. Crazy times.
Yeah,
and now
I haven't bought toilet paper in weeks. Somehow that's just all been coming to me. Like,
how do you survive? Like,
what are you doing?
What do you do, man? What's your secret?
Are you kidding me?
But the thing is now, so all the supermarkets have put restrictions in place. Like you're only allowed to buy two canned goods. You're only allowed to buy 2 packets of rice or 2 packets of pasta or whatever. And like, I don't know, man, but to me, that just kind of seems a bit like communism. Yeah, like what is going on here? Like we're entering into some kind of communist socialist state where we're all got to line up like 2 meters apart. Yes, sir, it's your turn now. Here's your rations and here's your rations. Like I feel like I'm already in a fucking war zone here, man. Seriously.
True.
It is absolutely how it can be seen if you're looking at it with open eyes. And yeah, the stimulus package is another thing. Like, it's just so interesting how everyone's going to expect to just have some money pop into their bank, but it's not how it's going to work.
Happy, you know?
Yeah. Have you know about the basics cards, hey? You know about the basics cards that Centrelink's providing the common people with? The card that's, you can't go out and buy anything. It's just for the basics, the essential,
it's
essential services.
Items, okay.
They've been trying to implement that to people who get Centrelink for ages. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So when I said look out for the multiple layers of agendas, there's always multiple layers.
Well,
this is one of them.
There's multiple things going on because, like, let's face it, the economy was going to crash anyway. So this virus has come along all too conveniently as a cover up, for this economic crisis. So everyone's losing their jobs, but it's like, don't worry, guys, government's going to help you out. We're going to give you money. But it's like they're only doing that to keep the system afloat. Like they're doing the same thing in the US. They've got this trillion dollar, stimulus package ready to roll out. Every citizen's going to get $1,200. It's like, all right, fine, you've got $1,200 in your account. What happens when you go to buy food and it's gone up 300% with inflation? And it's happening already. A kilo of broccoli is like $12 at the supermarket right now as we speak. It's already hitting us. Yeah, man.
Wow.
Yes. I
wonder how much the farmers are getting paid for that.
So
still the same or maybe less.
The thing is, the inflation is already hitting us now, and this has only just happened. When the economy crashed in, I think, Venezuela or whatever, it's, even the rich people couldn't get food. You know what I mean? So it doesn't matter how much money they just hand out to everybody. If it's got no purchasing power, it's got no purchasing power. It can't buy shit. That's what's going to happen, man.
The dissolve of the middle class.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
The rich get richer, man, and we're left with the scraps down here.
Yep. All the small businesses will close.
People's livelihoods are being ruined over this.
One thing I do want to promote absolutely is for people to have more of an open heart about anything happening in the world right now. Like if there's any time for people to change their ways, it's never too late to return to your fate, which is truth, purity, loyalty to self, loyalty to the exterior world, anybody. Like, I feel that I was living in a world where, I've got my very close friends, including both of you, that I feel that, we've got our certain closeness about us. And yeah, I feel like if there's a message that people really need to hone in on right now, it's coming to terms with what this system has led them to, what the system has entrapped them into being, and it's being reliant. And one thing I'll say about reliancy outside of yourself is it is a religion. That's where the word religion comes from. Rely. Look at the first 4 letters. It's a reliance on something else outside of yourself. And how long do we need to pedal that boat for before we realize that the boat's not actually floating anymore? Like, we're at the bottom of the water and we've still got a chance to get to the top of the surface of the water and breathe. Where are we? Yeah, so I just really feel that in such times, like, we really, really, really need to just stop talking shit on the internet, stop posting selfies, stop mindlessly acting outside of self. Like, I really, 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 that's all I really want to promote the world to do, is just to be the best version of themselves. And it's really hard for people to say, I know what to do. I've got it, the key. I've got it. Now I'm going to walk with it. Like, how many people do you both know that say, hey, I don't even know what to believe? Like, how do you know what to trust? How do you know? Like, like, what is this? Where are we?
Well,
how do you know what to trust? You trust yourself. You trust your brothers. You trust your humanity. Is it Is it you versus the world? You know, are we really living in the system of the purge? Are we living in black mirrors? Where are we?
Well, I wouldn't trust anybody that has something to gain, and they have everything to gain. Yeah, the people in power, the authority, the government, the mind control. But we, the common folk, man, we don't have anything to gain. We're coming from a place of truth and love, man, trying to wake people up to what's going on. And if you can't trust people like that, then I don't know what to say, you know?
What's an advice that you would both want to offer to the world at a time like now, and everyone's, you know, so focused on themselves inside their houses? You know, what's something that you would really promote that might help people? Like, what's some information that you could give to people? Like, problems aside, where's the solution? Like, what can you both say about that?
I think just having a bit of balance. So don't be feeding into the fear constantly. Give yourself a break away from the media and use this time to kind of really go internally and connect with your own essence of being, of who you are. And whether that be through artistic measures, through meditation, breathing, whatever you have access to, if you can leave your house and go on walks and get into nature and just find a way to get inner peace, which is difficult during this time because I know a lot of people are really stressed out right now. They're worried, they're scared. But if you just stop for a minute and just shut everything out and just close your eyes and breathe, like, we're still here, we're still alive. I mean, it's only as bad as what they're saying it is at the moment. You know what I mean? We don't really know what's going on. We don't really know how bad anything is. Like, I'm alive, my family's alive, we've got a roof over our heads, I've got food in the cupboard, you know, I've got my friends and my family around to connect with and talk to. So, you know, it's only really as bad as what, you know, the box in the living room is telling us, or the, you know, the social media is telling us and everything, all these reports. And there's a lot of mistruth out there as well. So a lot of what we're seeing isn't even really the truth. It's just more fear pushing on the public, you know, because they're controlling the information flow. So just,
yeah, absolutely.
Just relax. People need to relax, you know.
Definitely.
And keep active if you can as well, man. You know, it's just no good to sit around either. Keep active. I know here that in most places they've shut the gyms. They've shut all the gyms here, and it's not good for people's mental health. It's just not. You know, I can't see how a gym is not essential, but a bottle shop is essential. You know, there's a whole other issue. No, it's the bottle shops are open, bro. And I heard from someone who was in contact with somebody high up in the police, and they were saying the rates of domestic violence like going right up at the moment. No one's talking about that, man, because people are being stuck at home with each other and they're getting on each other's nerves. So I don't know, like, if families...
I thought about that. I thought about that 2 days ago, actually. I had a thought about that. How's the, you know, because one thing I know about the Australian family is there's already division in place, but we've all got our separate ideals, and I don't stand for myself when I say this at all. But how many families in Australia have the wife or the woman who has her ideals of how to raise the children, and then the man has their ideals, the fallen man has their ideals, and how are these going to clash together when they have to be cooped up in the house together? This is going to be a big, you know, like, that's interesting that you say that, because I did have that thought the other day. So yeah, I think that's definitely relevant. Absolutely. And yeah, domestic violence was always channeled to us from above, wasn't it? Like, all these signs going up around towns, like, violence against women, Australia says no. What does this actually do to the mind that never even thought about hitting their partner? This is how you program people.
Yeah, true that.
I'll be honest, like, most of the time when I use the toilets when I'm on the road, like, I've lived in, you know, I've built 7 motorhomes now, and I've been on the road for a long time, and I love that life. I love it. I love the nomadic life and the free life, I guess I would call it. And one thing I noticed when I use the disabled toilets, the ones that are most clean, is the signs that are on the back of the door. And they're all about how to overcome suicidal thoughts. And this is training the disabled culture to commit suicide. And
100%.
This is a culture that, to the top-down rule, has to go. The elderly society, the disabled society, the homeless society. These are the three things that have been coming up in government conversations about where the money's going with you know, certain channels of funds. Do we need to put this money in? Do we need to pay for the pension? Well, let's set up a super fund. And, you know, like, where are we? I know where we are. I know you both do too.
Well, this is kind of, now you're sort of leading into eugenics now. So about creating this sort of perfect race or this perfect society, you know, like you said, no sick people, no old people, no disabled people. I mean, if you look at the movie Gattaca,
No truth sayers. No truth sayers. That's the
you
big
look
one.
at the movie Gattaca, in, you know, in this futuristic society, you've got the people who have been genetically engineered to be perfect humans with no illnesses, nothing, no faults about them. And then anyone else who's birthed naturally is known as an invalid in this futuristic society. So
One thing I would, if anyone wants to know what the future holds, not definitely, but to the people who want to bring that rule, is I'd recommend them to watch Brave New World, because that is exactly the dystopian future that they hope to bring. And yeah, what do you guys have to say about that?
I haven't seen it, so
I mean, actually, I might have seen it a long time ago, but it's not fresh on my memory. But I watched 1984 recently, which is yeah, it shows you, you know, how the, you know, in this movie, it's like about, you know, the control of the media and everything. Like everything's censored, and I think we're headed for that, a real censorship of everything. And I mean, if you don't have freedom of speech, like, you don't have freedom. So
yeah. I'd just like to add just quickly as well, if anyone is looking to, you know, find a way to find, I guess, peace and find a way to get through something like this, like the situation that we're in now, there's a few things that you can actually do. One thing I would suggest is to take your health into consideration, have a look at what you're eating, look into fasting even. Like, maybe don't eat as much. If you do some simple research into fasting, you'll see that it's better to not eat as much as we probably do. You know, those 3 square meals a day, not a good idea in a situation like this. You know, if you're worried about a virus, if you're worried about infectious diseases getting into the body, look into a guy named Wim Hof. Now, Wim Hof, he is called the Iceman. He literally climbed Mount Everest in just shorts, like no shoes, just shorts. And he used his breath and meditation to control his body in order to withstand and resist these cold temperatures and stuff. Johnny, you know all about it as well. Now, the best thing about the Wim Hof method, if you look into it, you can actually fight off infectious diseases that start to come about in the body. Now, what he did under clinical studies with scientists all around him, they strapped him up, they wired him up and everything. They injected him with the influenza virus. They made him sick, but using his breathing technique, he literally like expelled it from his body and he was completely fine. And it's not even something that he could only do. He trained 12 other people to do this method, and using this breathing method that he did and showed them how to do it, they all fought off this infectious influenza that they got injected with using his breathing technique. So if you look at your health and look into breathing, look into meditation as well in a time like this, you can take control of your body and your mind, and you can fight this off, man. You can make sure it doesn't even happen at all. If you think, oh, I'm so scared about getting the virus, yeah, well, take control of your body, take control of your mind, and do something about it. You know what I mean? And I feel like,
yeah, isn't it funny how many times we tell people in such time, just take a breath, and then how many times do people do that for themselves? You know, like how many times do people actually? The only thing we can control in our body is our breath. We don't control the lymphatic system.
Yeah.
It pushes out the toxins when you move the body, or like the heartbeat. It's all controlled by regulation of, you know, certain organs in the body, but the breath is the one thing that we control. And even just taking a small breath, like how much better do you feel by just filling that up? You know, like it's amazing.
just
I do agree. Like, you know, we've really got to take control of our own sentience. You know, like the one thing that we can control as well is what we put into our body. It's a big one. It's a really big one.
Well, just to add to what James was saying, so basically what he's doing is he's changing the internal environment of his body, making it alkaline through the breath. But you can do that with diet as well. And you can do it combined with breathing and diet. But also mindset is probably the most important thing of all. Because it doesn't matter what you're eating and how you're breathing and stuff. If you've got a mind that's vibrating at a lower state of fear or anger, these lower vibrations, well, then you're going to be acidic in the body. They say that, you know, anger and fear is acidic and joy is alkaline. So even just pretending to be happy and joyful can actually have a physical impact on your body. So a disease cannot survive in an alkaline environment.
That's right. And you know what's the most contagious thing, man? A smile. You know, you just tell people to smile. Look, everyone's smiling right now. You see? You can't stop it. And it releases endorphins in the brain, man. It literally makes you happy.
Yeah. If you fake smile, it does release endorphins.
Look, we're all doing it right now. So, yeah, man, just smile. You know, that's another piece of advice I'd give to people. Turn the TV off. Turn your happiness on.
Let's talk about food a little bit. Let's talk about, you know, like the perfect diet, because it is out there. Absolutely. Like the one thing that we were...
Orange juice right here.
The perfect diet is no diet, just fast.
Is that Woolworths orange juice, mate? Is that orange juice from the supermarket?
Would never touch that stuff, mate. That's freshly squeezed orange juice. I made myself today.
It's daily juice.
What else? Yeah, like let's talk about, like, just, you know, for a couple of minutes, like what would you recommend people? What can we recommend people to, you know, go back to a natural way of being? Like, veganism aside, the term has been destroyed. What is it and why is it? Let's go.
I would just say plant-based diet. I wouldn't even call it veganism, nothing like you said. I would just call it a plant-based diet. And as Johnny was saying, alkaline. Just eat alkaline.
Well, to me, it's pretty simple. If you look at the human being and you look at our physiology, we're in no way a carnivore at all. Let's just scrap that one off the board. But then some people will say, okay, well, we're omnivores. Yeah, we're omnivores. We need a mixture of things, plant-based and meat. But then again, if you look at the physiology, we're in no way omnivorous. We're not. There's nothing about us that indicates that we're designed to eat flesh of animals. You know, from our teeth, from our digestive system, our stomach acids, you know, you look at our fingernails, like you couldn't chase down a chicken. And even if you could and you caught it, like, how are you going to eat it? You're going to rip into it? No, like majority of people that are eating flesh are having to cook it and add spices to it and herbs, plants to flavor it, just to eat it, you know, to make it taste good, to actually be able to consume it. So to me, you know, from all my research, it seems that we are frugivores. Yeah, we're designed to eat fruits and, you know, leafy greens and things. So a lot of vegetables, you've got to cook them in order for them to become digestible. And we're the only species on all of Earth that actually cooks their food. No other species does that. No.
Yeah, but lions can't cook. How is a lion going to cook?
But it's so obvious. It couldn't be more obvious that if we were living in harmony, like we were just living natural, like in the jungles, wherever, like you would just be picking fruit off the tree and just eating it as it is. I mean, what food out there smells as good, tastes as good, looks as good, is as enticing as fruit? I mean, it falls off the tree and just rolls to your feet for you. And it wants to be eaten. People say, oh, plants feel pain, blah, blah, blah. But it's like, well, no, fruit relies on us to spread its seed. It relies on us. It works in harmony, in symbiosis with us. You know what I mean? If you look into the work of Tony Wright, he goes into extreme depth about this subject. So, you know, for me, a raw diet should be, you know, your majority. You should be eating mainly fruits and like leafy greens and other vegetables. We think they're vegetables, but really it's fruits like cucumbers, tomatoes and stuff. So I'll be limiting other vegetables, like root vegetables and stuff, and still nuts and seeds as well. But again,
maybe mention the Dr. Eric Hart's mucusless diet as well.
Arnold Eric, sorry. Yeah, Eric, mucusless diet.
Read that book.
He was ahead of his time in terms of research and experimentation. He owned facilities where he fully helped people recover through fasting and through eating a natural raw diet. And again, it's not so much about proteins and fats, especially proteins, because if you look at, say, human breast milk, for instance, it's the lowest protein content of any other mammal. So it's
4%.
we're designed to run on carbohydrates. And what are the simplest carbohydrates? It's fruit. It's fruit sugar is what we're designed to run on. So, yeah, but I mean, it's very hard. It's not for everybody, but if you can get plant-based, that's a great start. Throw your microwave in the bin. Don't use it. Just don't use it. And try and really limit the processed foods. I mean, processed foods, people don't know, but they're full of chemicals. They're full of heavy metals. And what's going to happen? These radio frequencies are going to interact with the toxins and the metals inside you. And we haven't even spoken about parasites yet. So, it's like...
Let's go, man. Let's talk about parasites, because most of the diseases on the planet that are recorded for largest human deaths are parasitic.
Okay, well,
there you go.
A lot of people are in denial about that when it comes to parasites.
Parasitic.
They like to think that, well, I couldn't have parasites. I would know. But the truth is you do. Like, everyone's got them. 70% of them are microscopic, so you wouldn't know you've had them. You wouldn't see them in the toilet or anything. But, the truth is people have worms, giant worms inside them, bro.
It's true. I've seen them.
And they
True,
grow.
absolutely true. The most healthiest people I know are still passing worms.
And people don't understand, well, how did they get a giant worm inside me? Well, it's you get the bacteria that then grows and they reproduce and they give birth inside you. And next thing you know, you've got colonies of parasites, many different kinds. If you go to the doctors, I think they'll only actually test you for, I think, about 3 known parasites, but there's I think there's at least 100, if not more, that can actually exist inside the human being. And you can get them from anywhere. I've seen reports that they're in the vaccines. They actually inject people with parasites or parasite eggs that can then hatch inside the body. Even in meat, especially pork. Pork is the worst of all. And a lot of people don't understand. So even if you say you get pork and you fry up some bacon and then you eat it, the heat doesn't actually kill the eggs, the parasites that are in the flesh. So then you eat it and they start getting to work inside you. And then, you do this for years and years and years. And then all of a sudden you might have a tapeworm that's like 3 feet in length in your body.
And you have no idea.
And you don't know,
all the shit you eat, man.
And what do parasites do? Like, any movies or shows where they've got parasites in them and, it's like comical and stuff, they tell you, like, the parasite controls the mind.
Yeah, because we've got neurons.
It controls the mind.
Yeah, we've got neurons in the stomach, man, and they can tap into those and it might control your thinking.
If your gut isn't right.
What was that scene in The Matrix? They're always putting the truth in Hollywood movies. What was that scene from The Matrix where they were putting them parasite in the stomach?
Interrogated by Agent Smith for the first time, and he literally seals his mouth shut, lays him down, gets people to hold him down. Then they get this device which they stick the device on his umbilical cord, where the umbilical cord was, like your belly button. They stick it on that, and then they suck out. No, sorry, they put this worm in him. Yeah, that's right. So they put the worm in him, and then as soon as the worm's in him, he wakes up and snaps out of it. It's like, oh my god! And then later on in the movie, they suck it out in the real world. So,
but there's heaps. There's heaps of little bits like that. If you've been looking, and they know.
That's sort of like a cross reference. It's like as soon as he's in the real world and they suck it out, that's sort of indicating once you've got those worms out of you, you're awoke now. Well, you're awake now. You're woke.
But that's the thing, because we have sort of an advanced neural system in our brain that sort of mirrors the gut. So if you're just polluting yourself with all this junk food and processed foods, animal products, and flesh and all this other stuff, the parasites love this. This is a playground for them, and they're putting a real strain on your body, on your energy, which is why a lot of people are addicted to stimulants like, coffee and energy drinks, because they've got no living energy.
I don't drink coffee anymore. I'm never touching that shit again. I swear. I'm
so proud of you.
It's about time.
I quit 2 years ago. I haven't had a coffee since. So
yeah, it's been a couple of months for me. It's been a couple of months, and since I saw that post that you posted, Johnny, man, talk about it, mate.
That's up the flow to the brain by 40-something%.
That's crazy.
So through a process of eating a raw diet, fasting, detox, possibly taking some special herbs and tonics, you can actually kill and remove parasites from your body. I recently did a 3-week juice fast. So didn't eat any food, just drank fruit and vegetable juice that I made fresh myself for 3 weeks.
No pulp.
Yeah. And about just before the 3-week mark, I passed a giant parasite, something I've never seen before. And mind you,
Yeah, I remember you sending me a photo of it. How big was it? It was about like an arm length.
it was like this big worm. And I know it's gross, but it's like everyone's got them. Everyone's got them. And people didn't understand that before this, I was eating better than 99% of people. Like my diet was majority fruit, lots of juice, lots of raw, very low starches. I didn't eat starches for like 2 months. No cooked food, no starches. Because like, what is starch? It's glue. It's gluing you up.
Hence the Latin word gluten, which means glue in Latin. It glues up your stomach so you can't send up the chemicals to your brain.
Or it's stopping you from absorbing nutrients from the food you're consuming. So it's not necessarily the food that you're consuming, it's the body's ability to uptake the nutrients from the food. So
also to do with gut health as well. Like during this lockdown, if we get put into it and people can't leave the house and they're stuck at home, doing a juice fast this is probably the best time to do it because you don't have any real responsibilities, you know.
Or any kind of fast. If you can game enough to try a water fast,
do it, man. You'll see
you're at home anyway. So
Adam, you did a 5-day juice fast when I started mine. Remember? Because you were having gut issues.
Yeah.
And that got rid of the pain that you had. You were saying.
Yeah, definitely. I feel that not just the elimination of pains that the body can really push through eating shit food, but the way that you actually see things when you go on to fasting, like you really can't be around certain things that you usually can be around. Like for example, I can't walk through the city on a juice fast. I can't.
Nah.
Because I can see the demons in people, man.
It's like is it them?
It's almost like taking
it's like taking the goggles off for a second. You're like, wait, what the hell? You look around and everyone eating and shit, and you're like, what is going on, man?
It's terrifying, bro. Because when you do a process like that, you're exposed. You know, it's like sensory overload. All of a sudden, you're like, wow, like I never noticed how bad things really are.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like complete sensory overload. And you don't want to be in the sick society when you're trying to heal.
Yeah. Not just a fast for the body, but even consider a fast for the mind. So stay off social media, stay off, the TV, turn off everything, just relax and just take a break from everything, from information. I reckon that could also be helpful for this lockdown and stuff like that to relieve some stress and anxiety and stuff that people might be going through.
Yeah, because even like during the week, I noticed I was starting to get into the habit of like boredom eating. Like, I'm not hungry. I don't feel hungry, but I'm bored. So I'm going to go cook some food, or I'm going to see what's in the cupboard or whatever. And I think
we always turn to food, don't we? Like it's not like as though it's not a drug, as though it's not a sedative. Everything you put into your stomach absolutely takes effect into the mind.
Because when you're fasting and you're not eating, all of a sudden you're exposed now and all these thoughts, you're analyzing everything because your brain is like firing up 100%. The moment you eat food, it's like taking drugs. Like food is drugs. That's why it's called the Food and Drug Administration, because food is drugs.
Yeah, sure.
So all of a sudden you stuff your face and now you don't care. Problems don't matter anymore. I've got a full belly. I feel good. My brain is now switched off into zombie mode. And I think it's so easy to fall into that trap of suppressing emotions through food and sort of hiding, putting up a shield by going to the kitchen and just eating when you don't need to. And I think people need to be really careful of that. I think now's the time to try and buckle down and create good habits, because otherwise people are going to be a lot worse off on the other side of this.
100%.
And especially if
everyone. Sorry.
No, go on. Sorry.
I was just going to say, like everyone talks about a perfect world, but where do they start? Do they start when someone else starts and then they take influence from that? No, like we need to, like Jesus Christ will not return. We are the savior of ourselves. Like there is no one coming to help us with anything that's relevant to the enlightenment of ourselves. So we really need to ask, when does it start? When do you stop eating shit food and actually start caring about yourself? The number one thing that the higher ruling class families want us to do is eat each other through, like so many different means, like just eating shit food, like eating people that we call animals. Like these animals don't want to die, especially in the way that they're dying in the industry. And Johnny, man, like how many times have you been inside an intensive factory farmed shed and seen like the look that they give you in the eyes is like, please help me out of here? And like we're obliged to feel this, and talk about heightening senses on fasting. Think of how all of these, I hate to say the word, think of how all these vegans feel after finding out that this is how these animals are treated, and they're on this diet that's actually, a lot of the time can be more heightening of the mind, and they see that, and then they're trying to clash ideologies with this meat eating culture that's really in a form of acidic eating. That it's just funny how they use the words alkaline and in food as well. Like alkaline means electrify. Like we don't need to use different words, like it is what it is. We need to start calling it for what it is. It's not a steak. It's a piece of palm.
Euphemisms that they put in place, man, just to hide people from the truth of what it actually is,
Full scale programming. It's full scale programming. Words are the language, are the paradigm.
Well, it starts from when you're a child. Old MacDonald had a farm. E-I-E-I-O. They teach you that some animals are okay to eat and some aren't.
Yeah.
And we call that speciesism. So
there's like a complete disconnection between like, you're showing someone a lamb and then you're showing someone a kitten. And it's like they're seeing two different things. It's like, they're like, no, well, this one I can eat, and then this one I go to pepper. It's like they're literally the same thing, but you've just been programmed your whole life to think that one's fucking going to end up on your plate and one's going to end up in your house. It's like, just.
And I remember for me, like when I went, sorry to use the word vegan, it's like you realize how stupid you were, that you were fooled all this time. Like, what was I thinking? Why would I want to eat a baby's leg when I can just eat a banana? What? Yeah. We've been programmed, exactly. And our parents were programmed before us, and their parents were programmed before them. And so the chain just keeps on going.
Yeah. Tradition,
exactly. In the name of tradition, the cult of culture.
Yep.
Interesting indeed.
Yeah, well, absolutely.
One thing I noticed, just while we're still sort of on the subject of diet, is that it's funny how any other time nobody cares about anything. Yeah, like people eat like shit, they drink, they smoke, they do whatever they want, and I'm not in charge of telling people what they should and shouldn't do. But it's like now all of a sudden people care about their health, and they're worried that the virus is going to attack them and kill them. So they're walking around wearing their masks on the street. You've heard the mark of the beast. You know what I call this? I call it the mark of the sheep. Because it doesn't do a fucking thing to protect you. It makes you look like an idiot to those that know.
Yeah, and then they go home, they rip off the mask, and they light a cigarette and light a beer and shit. Like,
there you go. Exactly right.
Like, I'm going to this virus, Johnny.
But who cares about oxygen? I don't need that shit to live.
Yeah.
I ran out of debt.
I saw an old guy in town a couple of weeks ago, just before I left Victoria. Actually, no, we had a markets. We were at the markets and we were selling stuff, and it's so good, man. Just look at this. Someone's walking past with their dog. So good to see it. I love it. And they're not wearing a mask. Beautiful.
Like a rarity.
But isn't it? I saw this guy at the markets. He was like, his wife, man, talk about the clash that's happening in the home right now. This wife was no gloves, no mask, and her husband was like full gloves, full mask, and he was trying to yell at her to get her attention from across the hall in the markets, and she was just trying to ignore him because she was embarrassed to even fucking be seen with him.
That's good.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. The mark of the beast, the mark of the sheep. You know that saying, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink?
You can lead a human to knowledge, but you can't make them think.
Yeah, I've got another one that I made too. You can lead a sheep to the slaughter, but you can't make it think. Definitely, yeah. It's like that. Like a lot of people, like yeah, a lot of people ask me, like, you know, prove it, like, prove this and prove that. But at the end of the day, like, I never want to prove anything to anyone. All I want to inspire is that people really just open up their paradigm. And
Definitely, man.
I don't need to prove anything to anyone. What I need to do as a human brother is to open up what I know needs to be opened. It's the questioning mind. We need to open up the questioning mind. It's not about, oh, well, okay, here's your proof, and fucking just give them everything they
Yeah,
ask
so
for.
good, man.
Stop asking me for shit. I don't owe you nothing, but what I do owe you is my respect, and I'm going to open up your mind. Like, that's what I'm here to do. That's what we're here to do. We're here to bounce off each other. We're here to reflect off each other. We're here to say, well, shit, that's a great song. I want to sing a great song, and you know, we're all here to do it together. There's no need to, like, you know,
Verse.
yeah, one song, the universe. The
Universe.
verse is a song, and what uni is one. Like,
That's right.
that's how it is. Like, we are all in the one song. So why can't I say I can't prove it to you, because I actually don't have I haven't actually made you a book right now. Like, I don't even have the time to make you a book right now. But what you do have the time to do is to respect yourself, to find the inner knowledge. But you just have to question and question and question and question. And you need to know that no one's going to give you anything. You need to do it for yourself. That's why we came here. No one came out with you. You came out of the womb solo, independent. We need to do that life solo, independent. And you don't respect yourself as a people if you don't honor that you are here to do what you came to do solo. You got your family, you've got your friends, you've got your brothers and your sisters, you got everyone that, you know, like, we're all in this together. But no one's here to do anything for you. Give or take. You just take. Prove it. You're a taker. Stop taking from people. Give to yourself. Give the knowledge of light to yourself. You know, like, fuck, man, it's just so sad to see people in that programmed mind. They just need proof.
Yeah,
They need to question.
like sort of like people who sort of want to be spoon-fed knowledge, essentially. And it's like, well,
Yep.
nobody spoon-fed me. I've spent the last, I would say, 15 years of my life looking up truth, man, and trying to work out what's really going on. And sure, I've connected with people and they've taught me things, but at the end of the day, each one of us is responsible for our own journey down the rabbit hole. You know, it's up to you.
How long have we known each other for?
I would say at least 10 years.
Yeah, and that's a long time. And, you know, like, we've had each other to bounce off. And right now is the perfect time to cut everyone out of your life that is shit. If nothing's serving you in this servitude of friendship, you need to leave them behind. This is the perfect time right now to just say goodbye to anything that doesn't serve your highest point of being. You know, like, I still know people that are friends with people that they know talk shit about them for no good reason. And it's so sad to see. I would never go and see that person again. Like, I don't need to. And, like, you know, I'll forgive them, but I'm never gonna. I'm actually moving so fast into, like, goodness that I don't have time to give that person a second timing.
It's funny.
I don't have fucking time for that.
I saw a quote the other day, and it was something like, it's a bit cheesy, but it's like, oh, I still want to see you eat, just not at my table. You know what I mean? So it's like, I don't have anything against you. I don't wish any harm on anybody, but here from going forward, you're no longer welcome in sort of my circle now, because you're not
Absolutely
the same alignment as me. You know, you're not in this path now. You're not adding any value. And the way things are going in society, like, I would, you know, suggest to people, like, only be associating with people that are on the same path that are going to add value to your life going forward from here.
If anyone disagrees with what you have to say, just honor that, but just like, align yourself with people who might just agree more so with what you have to say. Sorry, Sonny, what are you going to say?
I was just going to say, one contradicting thought towards that would be, sometimes I don't mind having people in my life that do go against what I believe or question what I believe, because then it makes me sort of open up how I'm thinking. Because sometimes you can be a little bit narrow-minded in this whole rabbit hole we're saying. Like, I feel like sometimes the shields are up and you're only looking down that one way, but sometimes you need someone on the outside to sort of go like, okay, yeah, but is that really 100% true? Because that might help you get to where you want to go just that little bit better. I feel like you don't want to always be having someone that's, oh yeah, man, you're great. It's sort of like the it's like the little kid growing up with everyone saying, yeah, you're great, even though he's doing shit sort of theory. You know, it's like if that kid keeps getting told he's good, he's going to think he's good, but really he's fucking shit. You know what I mean? So if you keep going down this path and everyone's on the same, yeah, man, you're right, all of a sudden you're wrong. Do you know what I mean? Like, do you guys, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, but it's not so much about looking for reassurance from, you know, your friends and, you know.
Yeah, that's again, I feel, looking outside yourself for things. Like, I really, like, you know, I only need the assurance of myself, and I've got, like, you know, like, I know what you're saying, brother, and, you know, like, we, at the end of the day as well, which is another subject we don't have to get into today, but, like, I'm a Capricorn, and Capricorn is the goat, and the goat always is climbing to the top. And who are the best people in management? So they say the Capricorn, because they climb to the goat, they butt every head along the way. And, like, I will always help my brothers to climb to the top with me, but I don't need, personally, in my sign or my star path, I guess you would say, like, it's not a necessity for me to have that. So depending on, you know, who you are as a person, you might find that inside yourself, but you might be better off having that reflected from the outside world. I fully respect that. Not everyone's the same, but yeah, like, I honor that. I honor that for that. It's respectable, you know?
Yeah, like you said before, like, you respect their opinion. You don't necessarily take it on, but I just feel like having that, you know, external thought process come into yours as well can just help you get to your, you know, desired point, I guess, you know, just that little bit better.
Yeah, I feel that. Definitely, I feel that. And yeah, once again, like, it's just, I think that my point making that is more to the point of people feel stuck with certain people in their life, because, you know, like, they never stepped out of the town. And man, when I was 14, when I was 13, I stepped outside of the town, man, and I just kept moving. Some people got stuck in the same town, and they thought that, you know, like, they think that these are the friends for life, and no, they're not. The more you spread your wings, the more air you can, the more atmosphere you've got beneath you to actually see what's happening below. The more you spread your wings, the higher you can go and the better you can see. So yeah, like, you know, some people can't even live the nomadic life, even in their star charts. Like, some people are more destined to be in that enclosed comfortability of home, and I respect that, because that is important to their, I wouldn't call it programming, but more so, like, you know, the environments that they've surrounded themselves in, which is part of the programming. Like, that's something that's important to them. But for me, like, I've always been that goat that just kept going.
Yeah, the ram, huh? No, not the ram. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Speaking of star signs, it's pretty interesting that all this is at the beginning of the astrological calendar, I guess, which is Aries, I think. And that's March, isn't it? I mean, I could be wrong. I'm not really too checked up on it, but
so yeah, I just thought it was interesting that this is this is all sort of happening right now as the sun has just entered into Aries.
yeah.
So we just had the equinox. So
The new world.
Aries, Mars, the god of war, and we're going to war, as you can see. So it's almost
Mars, martial law.
We're under martial law. We're under rulership of Mars. So it's not a coincidence that all this is going on right now. You know, as above, so below. So there was no other time for this to go down. It had to be now. It had to be 2020. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, well, do you find it interesting that in optometry, 2020 is perfect vision? Like, that's what's classed as perfect vision. And how many movements have you seen from the woke community and just the normal slumbering community? How many people are using 2020 visionary as a slogan for what they're doing in life? Like, it's something that is quite a common norm to know. And yeah, one thing that we don't know is the connection between the dates of astrology and now. So, you know, like, one thing I know about, like, Israel, for example, like, Israel has never been in a war that hasn't been on a blood moon. That's one thing I understand. So the question lies, is this something that happens by random coincidence? I don't believe in coincidence. Or is this something that happens by, let's call it a chessboard? Life's a chessboard, you know, like, do we understand the nature of the calling? Do we understand the nature of the society that we've been raised into? Do we understand that, okay, like, one thing I want to say is, I live in a town right now which is known as the astronomy capital of Australia. It's written on all the signs everywhere. It's the darkest sky you can see the sky in the southern hemisphere. It is beautiful. I've never seen the sky so bright. Like, you can just see everything. Like, it really talks. But this is the capital, the astronomy capital of Australia. This was the astrology capital of the original people. They didn't do astronomy. They didn't do that bullshit. They didn't fuck around with that. Like, they don't fuck around with that shit. It's all about astrology, the logging and the rhythms recorded in the stars. So right now, the elders know what's going on. The elders know what's going on. And they're not stupid. They understand what's going on. And
because they can read the language of the stars. So
absolutely, they can read as above, so below. As it is in the cosmos, so it shall be reflected down here. And that's in terms of dates. These people that are ruling class, they don't say, oh shit, like, all right, the GXE's fallen, let's make a move. Like, shit, we weren't expecting this, let's go. No, like, they know what they're doing, and everything's based on astrological influence of dates. They don't step outside of that. The one thing the ruling classes do not do is step outside of the astrology cycles, and they know when to make a move. They know when to make a move, and
That's crazy.
timely.
well, it's been taken away from us, you know, the sacred science of astrology, and they use our ignorance against us to full effect. So
Yep.
Elon Musk is planning to put like 3,000 plus satellites in the sky to literally circumnavigate the Earth completely, like literally like surround the Earth in Wi-Fi, because he wants everyone to have free Wi-Fi. So he wants to put like 3,000 plus satellites surrounding the Earth, and it's just the idea is they want to like block out the stars, man. They want us to go like, oh, hang on, I can't make it out anymore, because they want to disconnect us from that. That's what I think, man.
well, who's Elon? Alon, God, Son, the Son God. I mean, who is he? You know?
Yeah, true.
Who even is he?
Everyone, I know, and I don't mean to offend anybody, but I'm sure for certain that anyone tuning into this video is a believer that Mark Zuckerberg started Facebook. Actually started it. Like, it was never imprinted to be used as a perfect utensil today. He's just a front man. He's just a front man. And look at like the story that they gave. Like, he stole the guy that's really. This is the story. Look it up on Wikipedia. The guy that really started Facebook. He was in a rowing club called the God Squad, and he sat in seat 6 in the boat. Like, I know how they work, man. I know how they work symbolically. It's all a joke. It's all mockery of the lower class people.
They made a movie about it because they have to put the story out there to get people to believe it, so people won't ask questions about it.
I saw it. I believed it. God damn it.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, it works. Hollywood works. So, you know.
Hollywood.
What do you mean it's created by the CIA? That's nonsense.
No, it's not. I swear it's real.
You know, so,
Do you know what the CIA's original name was?
Nope.
It was not the Central Intelligence Agency. It was Catholics in Arms.
Whew. That's full on. Wow.
Did you say
Look it up.
Jesuit?
Yeah. No. So, yeah, here we are. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. You sing that song because you don't know. But if you did know, you'd feel like a fucking idiot for not knowing what the stars were really for. People haven't ever looked into schematics. How sound actually occurs. Like the seven orbiting portals or light. Yeah, the oracles, the orbiting oracles that traject and project vibration that makes up all of the physical aspects of our reality. And that's where the saying comes from. Like, we are all come from stardust. Like in ancient Egypt, they pointed at the star Sirius and they said, this star gave birth to our Mother Earth planet. And yeah, like we knew this for thousands of years. That most of the knowledge from ancient Egypt came from original Australia. This is where it started. Go talk to your elders of original Australia, and they'll tell you there's nothing in ancient Kemet that didn't come from the first original land of Australia. And yeah, boys, like we all met and know each other from that land in Victoria. And it's funny how it got the name Victoria, because she was the most wicked queen in history. Like, and Adelaide right beside her, Queen Adelaide, like both of them. Like I don't know about Queen Victoria, but I'm sure that both of them, you know, bathed in the blood of virgins. I know that Adelaide did for sure. And this is who we name our states after. And we don't know anything, man. I just want to say another thing as well. Like we've got what's called like the golden belt or the fruit belts and grain belts in Australia. And do you know actually this was recorded by explorers when they first came here. Well, not when they first came here, but when they kept trying to come here and trying to claim the land, but they couldn't do it, man, because the warriors of Australia just kept fighting and they just kept sinking the ships down the Murray-Darling. They kept fucking like, you couldn't beat these people, man. The force they came with Captain Cook was cooked. And yeah, like what we call the grain belts and the golden belt, the fruit belts, that was already recorded by the original people. They made those belts. Those belts were made by the original people. They were the harvesters. They weren't people that were just growing native bush flowers. They fully maintained the land. By agricultural science and knowledge, they made the land. Everything we know about original Australia is a lie. Everything. And where you're from, Johnny, down near the western side of Victoria, especially out near Sunbury, if you go for a drive anywhere in Sunbury, you'll see buildings that are about 300-400 years old stone buildings. Out of Tasmania especially, all around Australia, you see all these beautiful, beautiful stone buildings that have been destroyed. There's still remnants of them, but this is how they built their buildings. They built them unbreakable. The way that they built them was amazing. And yeah, we just need to go back to the original knowledge, and they're there ready for the questions, you know, like fuck astronomy. It's all bullshit. It's a lie. It's a deception. We don't need that. We need astrology. We need to know the cycles. We need to know the seasons. We need to know what food comes into season, man. I heard they actually changed certain seeds for the future. Like apparently they were working on certain plants like the yams in Victoria, where when they went to seed, they were never the same again, because they manipulated the seeds and the plants so much with beautiful divine knowledge that the plants actually wouldn't grow anymore unless there had to be human intervention to keep that growth alive. So you can't you know, like say that you're a farmer in Australia and not know this knowledge. Like the real knowledge was how Australia was farmed, and it was a beautiful place, and it still is. We just need to go back to that original place, you know, and it's actually inside all of us. But you're not going to get it without the astrology connection. If you don't know astrology, forget about it. You don't know anything. I'm sorry, but yeah, even if you just have a curiosity about it, go find out more about it. There's so much information out there, and I don't mean horoscopes.com or westernzodiac.com. Let's look at the ancient cosmology of any culture. Horoscopes, yeah, the scopes of Horus. That's where the word hours is an anagram of Horus. We're under a spell. We really don't understand how much astrology really takes influence. Seasons, you know, seasons don't come from the axis tilt of the earth. They come from the influence of the stars above. We need to switch off to that and switch on to the original story.
We're just on one big cycle, you know, just goes around and around.
Yeah, and all these new stars that they're finding, turn that information off. We've had the same recorded rhythm of the cosmos for thousands of years. The indigenous people have had it the whole time. They're the most ancient culture still naturalized to their land, and we say we just kill them. We rape their wives. We're still doing it. I heard a story in New South Wales where they were wanting to revive the stolen generations again and take the original people from their parents still. So rest assured that the war is still in place. The Holocaust is still here, and the Inquisition is now.
Yeah,
well, they're doing it now. They're,
you
know, indigenous people are dying in prisons. It's getting covered up. So, you know, police aren't getting prosecuted. They're just not even a slap on the wrist, nothing. So, you know.
87% of incarcerated people in the Northern Territory and Darwin are under 18 Aboriginal Australian males, black mob males. And why would you do this? I know why they do this, because you won't have astronomy with astrology. They do not work together. Either you've been fooled by the guise of those guys, or you wake up and you face that demise that it's not somewhere that we need to be. We don't need that information. I was saying in a video that I was doing the other day with Mark English, astronomy is astro, no, me. It is non-inclusive of the soul of the person, whereas astrology incorporates it all. You are included. So which one do you want? Do you want to be included into the science, or do you want to be taken astray and led to the pack of dogs? You know, like we don't understand. We need to overstand and go back to the original knowledge and eat better. Like eating better, but what is the seasonal eating? What are we eating? You know, like we just spent all day today and yesterday. Like I'm on 100 acres out here, and some of my closest friends that have invited us out here, like there's such beautiful people. We've been planting winter crops all these last few days, and like the crops are big, you know, like we're not fucking around out here. Like we've got so much food out here that's just an abundance, and we'll be fine no matter what happens. But what happened to these people that strayed from the knowledge? What do they got? They've got their iPhone 10x XXX, and what are they going to do, man? Like there's not even enough silver in that phone to cash in if something happened. Like what are they going to do? These people don't know, man. They don't know what to do. They don't know what to do. I'm sorry, but feel sorry. Feel like you've lost, and go back to the original source and start again. Turn it off. Go back to the original source and start again. It's never too late to return to your fate. We've always got that inside us, and my heart is like, I just got tingles saying that. Like I really feel it, and it's the truth will always be the truth, intangible. We need to go back to the original knowledge. It's in all of us.
Yeah, definitely, man. Yeah, so true.
So where do we start? You know, like where do we start? We just don't be scared to go and order some seeds from the internet and watch it grow. I remember when I first started gardening, like I wasn't a gardener. I wasn't, and I had, you know, like some circumstances that happened in my life, and there I was growing some plants, and I actually, it's more than just growing a plant. It's what actually calls the plant. There's certain plants that call certain insects. There's certain plants that call certain fungus. They all work together, and you'll never learn this knowledge without going in and doing it.
You blew my mind that day we hung out and we went through that garden at that school. You were just like naming this, naming that, showing me what this does, showing me this, and you like made a tea for me and stuff. I was like, man, like there's so much to do with plants that we just don't know about. You don't learn that in school. You know, you think they'd teach you about that, or teach you how to do your taxes, or teach you how to save money or anything. They don't teach you any of that.
I feel like a lot of that knowledge about natural things, you know, about the cosmos and the plants and the animals and everything, I feel like a lot of that should just be instinctual to us, but we've been removed
and distracted.
We've been removed from access to that knowledge, that consciousness that should just automatically be there in the ether for us to tap into. Like you would go in the bush and you would see a berry and you would just know that it was poisonous and you wouldn't eat it. Or you would know that if you use this leaf here, you could apply that to a wound and it would heal. Just this kind of basic instinctual knowledge, I feel like that at a point in history we would have had access to that, but with this westernized society, it's been removed, you know, from people. And like you said, like we don't get taught this stuff in school. We don't get taught, you know, what plant this and what plant is that. No, we get taught about commerce and corporations and, you know, this bullshit system that we have. And none of it matters. Because at the end of the day, like you can't eat money, but you can eat food that you've grown yourself. So these are the things that we really need to work towards, you know. And I know you're doing that currently where you are, but for some of us who are still in the concrete jungle, I feel like
don't forget the nature's still under there and she's still there, man. Like some people say, I'm going to go to the forest today, but don't forget she's growing right underneath us through the cracks, you know. Like we need to feel that and know that, because
you can take the person out of nature, but you can't take the nature out of us. So it's always going to be there. And everyone says like, oh, if I just go into nature, I feel so good. Like, don't you feel good to get out of the four walls and just go for a walk into the forest and be amongst the trees and the birds and have the sky over your head? And I feel like that's what we're sort of getting to. Like, I'm hoping that I mean, if we ever get out of this whole isolation, I feel like people are going to want to spend more time outdoors than ever and really appreciate that what we've got out there, a whole wide world, and not just your house with your lounge room and your TV screen. So
Beautiful. Yeah, I agree. And it's, like, I can only imagine the paradigm of people who might be listening to this that'll say, yeah, but actually, I think that now is the time where they might actually think differently about it. Like, you wonder why the divide's happening in the families right now. Like, all these women are probably sitting at home with their husbands thinking, fuck, this useless prick can't do anything. Like, what's he doing? Like, he fucking can't even nail into the wall to hang up a photo of our family. Like, well, who are you? Who are you? What is your purpose here? Like, can you create, or do you only destroy? Pick one,
Well, that's the thing. Like, this system hasn't, it creates people to be reliant. The system creates people to be reliant on the system.
Mm-hmm.
You always expect convenience. You expect to be able to go to the shop and buy your food and do this and do that and all these conveniences that we have.
Yeah.
But when it comes down to it, how many people can actually start a fire? How many people can actually grow their own food? I mean, these are skill sets that, I mean, I'm no Bear Grylls myself. I'm not. But, these are skill sets that are going to be important going forward from here, man.
How many times have you heard people say, like during this hysteria and panic, how many times have you heard people say, what am I going to do if I can't go down and buy my own food? Like, I've actually heard people say that because they're like, people are getting scared they're going to close the grocery stores at one point. Like, what am I going to do if I can't go and buy my own food? It's like, literally, you can't even look. You don't even know how to make your own food or grow your own food. Like, oh, man, it's funny.
It's true. Like, I think a lot of people are going to struggle, man. If like things keep going the way they're going, they're going to have to learn how to deep fry their toilet paper. Like, what are they going to do? What can you say, man? Like, you can only make light of a dark situation.
Oh, man.
But one of my friends made a good point and said that, a lot of jobs are going to be redundant now, and they're not going to mean shit. So you got a lot of people with
they were always non-essential services.
Yeah, it makes me really doubt how non-essential it all was. You're like, this doesn't even matter.
And I don't even like that fucking label, essential. Like, who's the essential worker and who's not? You're not essential. Fuck you. Stay home. Like, we don't even need to use that term. It's a lot of these jobs that we have in society, just the real shit. And these people think that they're adding value. Like clerks.
Like people working in Foot Locker that are still open, man.
Well, not even so much retail, but just the business type people, business. Like, none of that's going to matter when the economy collapses and shit hits the fan. Like, who gives a fuck? Because you know how to do filing management and stuff. Like, that's not going to be important going forward.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And again, like you said,
now's the time to seek true knowledge, man. Now's the time.
Everyone knows how to file, but no one knows how to fire.
Exactly right. And it's funny because like they talk about cavemen. Oh, you caveman. It's all, well, the caveman knows how to start a fire.
Yeah.
Do you? Because at the moment
you want to be like the lion, don't you? Come on,
they're
pal.
looking a bit more advanced than we are. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
I guess now is the time to seek the right knowledge, what we should know in a time like this. Because if it does, it will turn to shit. Like, and you do end up out there, like, let's say, let's hope it doesn't, but let's just say it does, and you don't know shit, and you're stuck out there, and you actually can't start a fire, or you don't know how to cook this or look for food. Like, now's the time to study that sort of stuff, man, and learn it, I reckon.
How many people do you know that use the term plant the seed that have never planted a seed? I'd say probably 60-70% or more.
So I'd say a lot.
Yeah, man. It's definitely not taught in schools, I don't think. There used to be like a little, they used to call it like what is this, herbology at one point, I think. That was maybe
like classes.
Yeah, like
yeah.
But it was just like a little side thing in the middle of the year, just like a day. Like some guy would come in with like this weird 30-year-old guy, like, "Hey kids, I'm gonna show you." You know what I mean? But like, they don't do that anymore, man. They don't give a fuck.
If I could just make a quick recommendation for someone who's really amazing for a beginning path of like herbalism, look up the School of Evolutionary Herbology. He's amazing. Him and his partner are so beautiful, and they really hit the nail with spagyrics and astrology. Like, it's all incorporated, it's all inclusive, and yeah, just definitely go and look up what they have to say. Like, they got so much good and great teachings that I couldn't floor them for like an entry path for that sort of stuff. And yeah,
Do you want to just say that again? What was it called?
School of Evolutionary Herbology.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
Awesome.
he's very into etymology and astrology and anatomy and neurology and the natural sciences, because if you're a true herbalist, you need to know everything about all, and it all becomes really basic. Like, when you understand like the correspondence of plants signatures, you understand everything. Like Manly Hall said, once you understand the inner workings of one thing, you understand the universe absolutely. It's just knowing the basic cycles to understand the full cycle.
Yeah.
Mm.
And you know, like, I'll tell you one thing, like, there's no one or two places you can go for this information. The greatest thing I learned about going back to Eden or being a gardener is trial and error. You're not going to find it in a book, because what is the soil in this land? The soil in Victoria is totally different to the other states of the country. You can't find a book on anything. And then what's the temperature? The temperature is not the same as even was decades ago. You know, like, they changed that to a degree where, you know. So anyways, basically what I'm saying is you will never find a source that you can rely on to become a great gardener, because that all starts with putting your hands in the garden, and that's what you have to do. You're never going to know unless you go and you grow. And I always say, like, you know, the only way you can know organic is if you grow organic. Everyone wants to have a good garden. Go buy some seeds. It's fucking $5 on the internet to buy some seeds, and you're going to become addicted. You're going to become addicted to something that's such a better path for the inner world of the self. You're not even going to want to go down to the pub and hang with these lunatics anymore. These people are crazy. Like, don't worry about what they're up to. Like, worry about yourself. And, you know.
Did you actually see that seed sales have skyrocketed at the moment? Like, they're the highest they've been. Like, everyone
Yeah, I know there's
on seeds.
Yeah, so one thing that we've found is that like, me and my friends were talking today while gardening. My friend Cassidy was looking up some places to get some grains and seeds, and they're actually not taking new customers anymore. So, you know, this is now. How's it going to be in, let's say, 2 months' time if things keep going the way they're going? So now's the time to just go and spend what could potentially be a fallen economy soon. Go and spend that on seeds. What are you going to do? You don't need anything else. Like, just have that as a safety net. It's so important, you know, like, we need to go back to that. It doesn't hurt. Like, it doesn't hurt to just collect seeds, like dry seeds, start a seed library. One of my friends, Nick, he's been collecting seeds for a very long time, and he's been waiting for things to go the way that they're going. And so now he's got his seed collection and he's out. So depending on how you see things, depending on what your plans are, you might think that things will go back to normal after this whole thing. But one thing I can promise people, nothing's going to be going back to normal after this. You know, like, we might be going back to the ways of going out to the streets in 2 weeks' time, or come Easter. Nothing will ever be the same again after this. So go buy some seeds.
Everyone's talking about that though. Like, all the people that I speak to at work, and all the people that I speak to out, you know, when I'm going for walks or something like that, or my family, like, everyone's saying, oh, when this gets back to normal, you know, like, oh, I can't wait for this to get back to normal. Like,
It's never getting back
but
to
it's
normal.
not, man. You look around, if you really look around and just see the signs, man, like, I hate to say this 3 words, but I'm seeing them everywhere, and I can't even believe it. Like, my whole life growing up, and, you know, thanks to Johnny and you, Adam, as well, like, waking me up and really showing me the truth. And, you know, this is going back fucking 10 years ago, and just now I'm seeing it all slowly unfold. But these 3 words, man, the New World Order, and it's like, they're putting it on the front pages of newspapers, they're putting it in articles, they're saying it on television. They're literally, it's like legitimately happening now. And it's like, it is kind of scary, man, you know, but like, all these little things that we're talking about now, like, they're so helpful, man, especially in a time like this, because it is happening, and they're not even fucking around anymore. They're just like saying it on television. They're just like putting it on the front page of newspapers, man, that they know thousands of people are going to read.
Well, the thing is, now with all this, everything that's gone down, is now they've got the excuse. Now they've got the excuse to do what they want, to add in extra surveillance, to add in extra police presence, possibly to mandate vaccines more. Like, they've got the excuse because, hey, we care about society's safety. Like, we've got to prevent something like this from ever happening again. And most people are going to be all for it. They're going to be like, yes, government, please control us. Save us.
Yeah, man. I've seen posts like that on people's Facebooks, man. Like, hurry up and get a vaccine. Oh, this is so scary. Oh my God, what a scary time. Like, I can't wait for the government to come up with the vaccine. It's like, these people are so, it's like they said in the Matrix, you're so controlled by the system that you'll actually do.
It's Stockholm syndrome. Like, they're so dependent on the state to protect them, to save them. But they don't understand.
You're like Adam was saying, you are the savior.
Exactly.
You're the only savior of yourself.
Exactly. You know, we don't need them. We don't need government. You know, we don't need authority.
Don't say that too loud.
And I mean, that's what anarchy is. Like, anarchy is in chaos.
Yeah, we are the authors of our own life. That's the authority.
And people think, like, when they think like anarchy, they think, oh, you know, it's just chaos, like on the streets. But it's like, no, the word anarchy means without ruler. You know, it's the word anarchy, archon, the rulers, you know, without rulers. So if you are living in a community, growing your own food with your own water, and you're trading skills and supporting each other and raising families together, like, that is anarchy, you know? And I just wish people would understand that.
Yeah. And, you know, the media is definitely portraying a false image to the people. And I know that for a fact, because I've mentioned it to you guys, but I'll say it anyway. But I was driving to work and I saw a news crew. It was about 6 o'clock in the morning. The guy was there in his suit. They had the camera ready to go. They weren't filming anything, you could tell. I drove past and I thought to myself, I bet you they're going to wait until maybe the break of day comes in, and they're going to get the busiest street in St Kilda, Auckland Street. They're going to get that street there, which is where he was, and they're going to start filming right as it's like, you know, the daylight comes down, and when there's going to be no one there anyway. Anyway, it was like a week and a half later. My partner was at work and she got told that, oh, you know, Auckland Street was on the news last night. And Fern's like, last night? What did they say? And they're like, oh, they were talking about how much of a ghost town it was. And it's like, hang on a minute, they filmed that a week and a half ago. And this happened just after the first stage came in Victoria. So in Australia and Victoria, when the first stage came in, the next day, this was on the news talking about how dead St Kilda was. And it's like, they planned that. So it's like, does that mean whatever news station that was, do you reckon they literally knew that this was coming at that date that they dropped stage one? Like, does that, and they filmed it at like 7 o'clock in the morning when it was dead. And then they're talking about how dead it is. It's like, no one's going to be around at 7 o'clock in the morning anyway. And you're just pumping people full of, like, you know, propaganda, I guess, you know?
Well, so the report in America where the reporters actually emptied the shelf at the supermarket and used the empty shelf as a background to film their piece, to say, oh, you know, shelves are getting cleared, like people are buying, you know, because they're putting that out there. They're putting it out there, and because then people are like, oh shit, if the shelves are getting empty now, I need to get down there and buy up what I can buy up.
Yeah, 100%. Like, it's the toilet paper theory, I'm calling it. You tell people that they need to buy toilet paper, and everyone goes and buys toilet paper, man. Like,
yeah. Well, boys, I think we've planted a lot of seeds tonight. I think that it'll be nice to have some more conversations in the future as well.
What would be a close
really nice
to any viewers?
Close would be buy seeds and go back to the garden. Look at the stars at night. Stop looking down at the light in your phone. Look up to the light, and you'll find yourself going up to the light. Like, don't question, like, what are you? What is it? Twinkle, twinkle. Just go for it and feel it. One of the greatest things I learned from an elder, Uncle Paul, out at Jobwarong, he taught us, he said, you white fellas, you all look at the stars when you look at the sky at night, don't you? You need to look at the spaces in between to see the star people. I'm not going to say too much more on that. Let your own heart take you to the truth, and you find that you'll be looking at the light instead of looking down into the darkness. That's the only thing I can leave people with, is just feel what's happening inside yourself and just go back to that voice that guides you. Definitely, yeah.
100%.
All right, brother. Well, it's a
Classy.
pleasure chatting with you tonight.
Yeah,
Awesome.
definitely, man. We'll do it again. 100%.
Love you both.
Love you too, man.
Hopefully see you soon.
Peace. Yeah,
Peace.
you will. Peace to you both. Bye.
Mm.